The United States is going through something, an expression many of us hadn't heard before, a K-shaped recovery. As it relapses from the fallout caused by the coronavirus, the K-shape, you can see, best serves as an explanation for how the poor are getting poorer while the country's wealthy get richer. The numbers are staggering. A new study has found that 8 million Americans have slipped into poverty since May. That's the downward leg of the K that we just showed you. For the richest, their net wealth increase is astounding. That's the upward slope of the K. According to the Institute for Policy Studies, the top 663 richest Americans in our country have seen their wealth increase by 34% since March 18th. Those billionaires have made over $1 trillion in combined net wealth during the course of the pandemic. What an idea. 8 million people cross into poverty. 663 billionaires get richer. Joining me now is a man who's not an economist, but he's the best economist we have on this show, Reverend Dr. William Barber, co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign. He's the president and senior lecturer for Repairers of the Breach, and he understands fundamentally that this is about economics and it's about the breach. You heard Evan Fowler's story, Reverend. You've heard stories like that over and over and over again. He doesn't have a car to sleep in if he gets kicked out of his home. His mother and him were sharing meals. He was eating peanut butter.
Yeah. And Ali, when I heard his story, I thought about when we met with the White House policy team on this past week. The first person to talk knew 41 people in her family that had died from COVID. We had a black woman. We had a white farmer who was talking about the increased rate of suicide among poor white farmers. And they were talking about this 8 million. And if you do the math, that's a million a month falling into poverty is on top of the 140 million that were already poor and low wealth in this country prior to COVID, 700 people a day dying. And Ali, think about it, as he said, it's murderous. We've got Congress people that make $250,000 a year just from us. They get free health care. They got the best unemployment, best sick leave, who are blocking people from being lifted. It's not even their money, it's our money. And there is a way to handle this. It's a constitutional way. You got to establish justice and promote the general welfare. And the only word I know for this, Ali, is the word Jesus used when he saw a fig tree that was trying to claim it was a fig tree, but really wasn't producing. A nation can be like that. It can claim to be something not producing. And Jesus just said, damn, Ali, that's where we are. It is a murderous, damnable situation. And we've got a lot of work to do in the years to come because this cannot continue to exist.
I want to just put up a chart because the president talks a lot about the stock market. When I was out every weekend, I'm out in America, and people who support Donald Trump talk a lot about the stock market. I want to show everybody who owns the stocks in the stock market. 51.8% of the wealth in the stock market is owned by the top 1%, the top richest Americans. The top 10% own 35% of the stocks. When you get to, so you got 87% of all stocks owned by that group. The bottom 50%, Reverend Barber, own 0.7% of stocks. So we've got that K-shaped recovery with the stock market doing really well. It's got nothing to do with the people you're talking about, generally speaking.
The stock market on Wall Street doesn't say anything about back roads and dirt roads and back streets of this nation. In fact of the matter is that's the problem. You can have Wall Street doing fine and everybody else just trying to find a way to live for the next minute or the next hour. That is why we said to the president's domestic policy team that's coming in, we need to enact full, comprehensive, just COVID relief. We have to have a stimulus, sick leave, unemployment protection from eviction. We've got to guarantee quality health care regardless of pre-existing condition until we have to raise the minimum wage to $15 immediately. We've got to update the poverty measure, guarantee quality housing for all, enact the federal jobs program that prioritizes socially beneficial jobs. We've got to protect and expand voting rights. We've got to guarantee quality and equitable public education, comprehension, immigrant justice reform. These things have to happen in the first 50 to 100 days. We've got to enact fair taxes, repeal the Trump tax law, and we're going to have to redirect some of the bloated Pentagon budget toward these priorities. And so we also said we want, after the inaugural, a full White House convening of poor and low wealth people, economists and public health officials and moral leaders to deal with this issue, because whatever they do, Ali, this week is not even close to enough. It's not a Christmas miracle.
Yep,
it's a Christmas mess.
Reverend, good to see you. The Reverend Dr. William Barber is the co-chairman of the Poor People's Campaign. He's the president and senior lecturer at Repairers of the Breach, and he understands economics better than I do, and I do this for a living.